Hey, everybody. Steve from Angelina County. Yeah, hey, I don't have any sponsors. Don't have none of that. But anyway, press the like and share button. I think this information will help all those that are involved in mass shootings and those that are wondering wondering how can we be better and be able to perform reaction and produce the least amount of loss of lives or communicate how we communicate properly so we can avoid um, deaths and also wounded. And we all have a part to play in this this communication process. I want to go through this step by step and give you the pointers that I retained from being in the military and the actions that we took, and actually the actual synonym of what we use to actually properly communicate the situation. Now, um, this is called a salute report. A salute report is actually defined is actually there and is used to properly and disseminate information as correctly and quickly as possible. Communication is key to everyone because it actually tells individuals how to proceed. Now, in the military, both in the Army and in the Marine Corps, every NCO knew, and it was always passed down to us: if you ain't got commo, you ain't got shit. If you got bad commo, you got bad shit. So here are some ways. Here is the way that we produced it, communication and to be effectively um, describing the situation and what was happening to someone who wasn't boots on the ground, but is actually monitoring and actually your support uh, to provide support and also to provide support in the actual area where it's needed and to make sure these individuals are properly briefed before they get there. So we'll take a scenario. For the last Christmas, through Christmas, oh, Merry Christmas to everybody. But through Christmas, I found myself shopping in malls, going to dinner, these places or whatever. So I used this as a learning opportunity. The learning opportunity that I went through was I became basically a great man. I stood back, I fit in with the crowd, and I watched. I just watched people's reactions. I watched and observed the exit, egress, and ingress and egress points. I observed people how they responded to different situations, and basically got generally a good synopsis of the type of environment that these individual places presented, and also identified. To the best of my ability, identify danger zones, areas you need to watch for, things you need to watch for in some of these areas. Now, I'm going to use a mall, for example, because I went to the mall and this was the worst case scenario that I've ever seen. And I know it goes on in every mall or any area, but anyway, this was the worst place that I saw. Um, because the fact is, once you enter a mall, I went into Lufkin Mall. Once you enter the mall, you are the first thing you notice is that everyone is on the phone. They're either talking on the phone, they're either scrolling through their phone, but all their attention is on their phone. They have no situational awareness whatsoever. You can actually walk by people and actually say hi. They'll never even look up. People will not notice their surroundings. They will not notice what's going on around them. It's just them and that phone, and that's their vital means of communication, and that is where they're getting all their information. Which you can see, you can see the problem with that. As a fact is that wherever you go out in public, you need to be aware of the surroundings and what's going on around you, so you can act appropriately. But also the fact is that you know when you can spot danger areas or something that you need to shy away from, and get away from, so you just don't walk into a situation. So that's the first key is situational awareness, and then once you have realized that when you walk into a place, that every place we go into is not safe anymore. There's potential danger in every place you go, and you have to let kids know that. You have to let the kids know that you need to keep your eyes and ears open, and you need to be just situationally aware of what's going on around you. So the next step is that I looked into, okay, mass shootings and what was the main failure that we've had in all mass shootings. What is the main issue that caused loss of life besides the shooter actually in there shooting individuals? What was the next cause and reason of more casualties? Communication. The information was not properly handed down to the individuals who were actually going in and going into these situations and what they would expect, or whatever. So they were flying blind because they lacked information or detailed information or correct and clear information for them to act properly. Now, we'll start off and we'll go from them all. I'll give you the scenario. If you, for some reason, find yourself in a mass shooting and you're able to get out, the first step, the first rule they teach you is run, hide, and then fight. Well, if there's an availability to you to actually run and hide, then you would take that. But if you can get out of the scenario to where you can actually get outside, well, okay, I'm outside. There's bad stuff going on inside there. How do I properly report it? Because I'm going to call 911, but how do I effectively call 911 to let them understand the situation? Now, this method is used. It's called the salute report. Okay. Now, this information that you're going to provide based on this acronym will actually provide the dispatcher all they need to know. And there will also be other questions, and I'll go into that in a minute. Anyway, for the salute report, you want to report the size. So you're looking at, okay, how many shooters did I see? How many do I hear? And when you say hear, you're not going to be able to make the determination, but you're going to be able to make this. I know there's one person shooting. And if you hear, okay, there's possibly two. So you state that. I have one, possibly two. Or I have one shooter. I have one shooter, possibly two, firing, and that's your size. Now, you want to go next to your activity. I have approximately 1 to 2 individuals who were shooting civilian or individuals inside the mall inside the such and such and such mall. That's your activity. That's what you're reporting. Then you want to give them your location. Where are you at? Make sure you make the determination. I'm in the parking lot where I have secured cover and concealment, but the incident is happening inside the mall. Make yourself very clear. Okay, that's location. U is for uniforms. So in other words, we say uniforms. Basically, what they're basically down to is what were they wearing? Did you see the shooter? What are they wearing? Any type of um, thing that stands out to you. Whenever you look at people like to wear these nice actually shoes or whatever. And they wear them white, black, whatever. There's something that will draw your attention to this individual, and you need to remember that because it's like, oh, something doesn't look right. But details matter. What kind of shoes? What color shoes do you have on? Did he have a hoodie on? What color was his hoodie? What color was his blue jeans? What did he have glasses? Did he have a hat on? All these in things you would apply and you would want to report. Time. Okay. Time. Now it's difficult for you to once there's an incident happening and you have to respond to this. It's very difficult because time seems to stand still. You're confused. You get, we call it the fog of war, and you get confused. You lose track of time, and it's very difficult to actually pinpoint the actual time when you heard the shooting or you heard something or when you actually recognized there was something going on. So whenever you report the time that you're actually calling. Say it's 11:36 now. This happened to me. This started happening approximately, and you would say the closest time that you actually remember. You're gonna have to use your common sense here. The fact is, okay, it took me 5 minutes to get out to the parking lot. Okay, and I first noticed this, it was so. You need to make a differential. You need to say, okay, I noticed this, and then now it is. I noticed this happening at this. Now it's 11:36, and it's been happening since then. So you want to make that determination. Equipment is what, if you notice what they were carrying. Now, the easy way to describe this is that everyone will say whenever there's a mass shooting, there's an AR-15. You don't know if it's an AR-15 or not. All you know if it's a long gun or if it's a handgun. That's it. Because the fact is that you don't want to give out information that you can't verify. It's a long gun. It's a long gun. It's a handgun that I noticed. Don't make shit up. I noticed a long gun. I noticed he had on body armor. He had on body armor. What did he have on that was actually applied to equipment that he would actually have to bring? For example, he had body armor and a backpack. These kind of things. So that is your salute report that you want to actually provide out, and you want to gather that information. Now, from the dispatcher standpoint, you have to understand that you are calling in 911 and you're witnessing these events or whatever. However, from the dispatcher standpoint, they have been there 8 to 12 hours on the day, and they have answered many 911 calls. What difference can you make to make sure that you get the dispatcher's attention? Well, you can call in, calm, and collectively and actually communicate. Dispatchers have their own checklists that they go through. They have their own checklists, which may require more information than what you have on your salute report. So they're going to interrupt you and ask you questions. This throws off the individual who's actually making a proper report, because the fact is that they're like, okay, I've told you the size, I've told you the activity, I've told you all this, but obviously you haven't gotten it yet. So then you're going to have to respond to those questions. When they start asking you questions, they'll interrupt you and they'll, okay, let me ask you, okay, go to your salute report, go back to that, be consistent in the information that you're providing. Because this individual just received a phone call of a 9/11 situation, and during your conversation with them, there's going to be the brain housing group is going to, oh, this shit's real. So you have to give them enough time to come to that realization and say, okay, now I'm ready to go. Too many times individuals call up, they're crying, they're blubbering, they're random, they're spitting shit out or whatever. And for a dispatcher, it's very hard to determine the actual events that are happening, because all they can go off of what you're describing. So be clear, be concise, try to stay calm, but continue and actually reverberate and reiterate your salute report. If they have any questions, you answer them at that time, but you answer them from what you have on your salute report. And I'm not saying you got to write this down. All you got to remember is salute. That's it. Then you can fill in the blanks. So understand a dispatcher's initial response is, okay, is this real or is this fake? Is this a real deal or is this fake? Or is Is it really serious or whatever? So that's all going through their mind or whatever. So this is where it's important for you to communicate correctly, calmly, and let them know exactly what's going on. So there are good dispatchers out there. There are good dispatchers out there who will listen and who will guide you back to the actual basically salute report. But be advised, they're trained to ask you certain questions. They're trained to answer these questions. In the fog of war, you may have already said this information to them, but they missed it. Because you have to understand, they're going through the same process that you are, except they're not boots on the ground, but they're actually knowing that this is a real, and they have to get their shit together. They can't just turn it on, turn it off like that. A lot of people think that dispatchers can turn it on, turn it off like that. No, they have to have the signs, and they have to know when it's very, very detrimental. The situation is taking lives, and once they realize it, then they go to their checklist and ask all the proper questions. Don't interrupt them. Just say, "Okay, this is what I have. Are there any questions for me? What you got? What? Answer these questions." Now, the other thing, after you finish your salute report, when they say, "Okay, we're sending somebody right now," very important. ETA. What's their estimated time of arrival? They may say 5 minutes. They may say 10 minutes or whatever. It doesn't matter what they say. Okay, if I don't hear sirens in 5 minutes, I'm calling you back. In other words, they know that you're going to call them back and report the same thing. Also, it gives them an opportunity to know, I better get right on this call, because in 5 minutes, I better have answers for these individuals to call back. Now, keep in mind, the fog of war will hit. And people will hearsay whatever. They'll be calling 911. They'll be calling 911, blabbering, no organized report whatsoever, just babbling or whatever. And they have to wade through all the bullshit to get to the actual facts. So it's very important for you to actually tell them exactly what you saw, and that this is the reason why I'm calling, and come at them as calmly as possible and give them the information that they can work with from there. Then that's the information they can work from there. Then they'll start asking questions for further details. This is awesome, because the fact is now you're answering their questions based off their checklist, because now they're going to communicate it to the responding officers. So the more information you give, the more information she can give. So now you guys are on the same page. So there's one message that's going out directly to the first responders. It's a unified message. It answers all the questions where there is no, well, there will be lag time. There will be time for them to think and act properly or whatever. But this is where you actually analyze the situation. You analyze the situation, you understand the situation, and then you communicate it properly. Now, the other step, if you are the one who's making the 911 call, by that time, after you get on the phone, there will probably be a crowd. There will be a number of individuals that are standing around or running or whatever. You personally do this. You personally point to them and say, you call 911. You call 911. Do that to at least 3 people. Why? Because you have assigned them, and you've taken control of the situation. You have assigned them to a certain task. Everybody wants to know how they can help. What can they do? Whatever. There's other people who just want to run from the situation and get away from it. Other people want to know, what can we do? What's going on? Whatever. You point out to these individuals and say, you call 911. You call 911. You call 911. And here's the reason why you actually go to 3 individuals, because right now 911 is blowing up. So the people who are actually trying to report it may or may not be getting through. However, you have assigned these individuals to call, and they can use the same salute report that you used. Now, you're still watching your clock, because in 5 minutes, if there's not sirens, or you're not seeing any, you call 911 back. You call them back, and yes, you're going to may be on hold. You may have to not be on hold, but you will have to maybe wait. Maybe you have to wait for a second for the dispatcher to get on the phone. And one thing that I forgot, I'll go back to, is that at the beginning of your salute report, you say your name. Say your name. Because that's important, because that name right there gets written down, because the fact is that you are now a person who is on site, a point of contact, to where the first responders, when they get there, they can look for you, or they can actually, when they, over the net, they'll say your name, and then officers will be starting to ask for you to actually give them the information that they currently need. And if anything was missed on there, they still have you as a backup, and they still know that you have provided a concise and no BS report, and they're going to come to you and ask you for any updates since the last time you reported or whatever. If they do, great. If they don't, they're going to come in, because they're going to set up command and control, and they're going to reassess the situation. Now, this is where it's vital, because the fact is that they are able to set up this command and control. They have enough information from you and the information that has been combined from the dispatcher to give these officers give them a full reference of what they're dealing with when they get there. Now, some of the questions, well, where did you hear the gunshots from? Where did you hear? Some of those questions are going to come up, but I'll only answer these questions after you've provided your salute report. Like I said, they may ask the same questions over and over again. Keep answering the same way. You'll get frustrated with dispatchers, because the fact is you're trying to instill the sense of urgency to them of what you have on boots on the ground. They're trying to understand what the urgency is. The only person who can explain can explain the sense of urgency initiates with you. Now, let's go through some details. We got the reports, whatever. Now, law enforcement officers, they're on scene. It's basically their show at that time, because now they're gathering information. They're gathering information. They're running down the information that's provided to them, and then they have people on the ground that actually are their officers on the ground who are reporting directly to them. So at this point in time, you have done what you're supposed to do. You have done, and the dispatcher has done what they're supposed to do. But trust me, the dispatcher, their job just now started, because now they're dispatching different units and they're trying to go through whatever. But the dispatcher has given out a nice, concise analysis of the situation, and they have actually they have properly, hopefully, given that information to the officers or the first responders. So now, what do you do now? Okay, here's what you don't do. Number one, if you have a friend, if you have someone in there that you can't locate, and you can't locate, and they may or may not still be involved in the mass shooting, do not call them, because they're hiding. If they're hiding, that's the last thing they need. They don't need their cell phone going off, even if they have it on vibrate. I'm telling you, you do not want to be the cause of them being found. You have got to, even know that you're worried about them, you want to find out if they're okay. The best thing you can do is maybe send them a text, and that's it. If they don't answer your text, don't freak out, because you don't know. Don't react to something that you don't know. You will want to call your next of kin or your emergency contact individuals. Your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters. Anybody that is not in this area, you would want to call out to these individuals and let them know that you're okay. and that this is the situation that you have right now. You give them the salute report. It's time to put your big boy britches on. Give them the salute report. Moms and dads are going to go, oh, are you okay? Where you at? I'm going to go in. This is what I saw. Okay. And at that point in time, they probably blocked off the area. So your mom or your dad or whoever is not going to be there or be able to pick you up at that particular moment. So you're going to follow the instructions of the officers that are on the ground that are going to move you to a safe location and or arrange for pickup. Wait somebody from your family or your significant others or your partner or whatever to pick you up at. This way, whenever you get to the location where they can pick you up at, you can give them the exact location. You don't want them leaving their home and just driving down to the freaking mall, because they may or may not have access to you. They may or may not be able to get in. They may be driving around the freaking parking lot. And this even though parents, the first initiative is, let me get down there. Let me get to my daughter. Let me get to my son. Let me get down there. Okay. You have to remember, okay, once I get down there, what am I going to do? Am I going to actually get my child and get out of there safely? You don't know. Am I going to find my child? Am I going to get down there and I don't understand what's going on, and I'm going to become a nuisance? Or if I'm going to get in the officer's way while they're protected, while they're doing their job. So you've done basically all you can. You have told your parents that you are alive, you're okay, and you're safe. And you're following the directions of law enforcement. You will be back in contact with them as soon as you know more. That's it. As long as your parents know that you're safe, that you're in the hands of law enforcement, and that you're not going to be released until it's safe and secure, then parents are just going to have to sit on their freaking hands and wait. And that is probably the hardest job that anybody will have to do as a parent, because you're relying on somebody else to provide security for your child or your loved one or your partner or whoever they may be, someone you care about. So I can't tell parents what to do, what they're going to do, what they want to do, or whatever. However, the fact is that be advised that the goal that you set out, you may not be able to accomplish because the fact is of the current events that are going on. Officers don't mean to be rude or mean to you. They understand, but they have to keep certain areas clear. They have to actually perform some duties to actually make sure that more people are safe. So you kind of have to understand that. So now, we have seen in the past the mass shootings to where this communication process would have helped and saved multiple individuals. We have seen, and we can attest that proper communication that is relayed down properly can save lives. The hardest thing to do is during a critical incident accident is to communicate clearly. We have different emotions. We have the fog of war. We have things that are going on around us, but we have to stay within our means and actually observe what's going on and communicate that quickly. Don't make shit up. Don't assume nothing. Everybody knows about it. Don't make an ass out of you or me. Don't assume nothing. Just report what you see to the best of your abilities and many details as you can provide. Now, different police agencies will have practiced these maneuvers, or they may have not. Okay. We would hope that the key factor is that they establish communications and that they're practicing with their dispatchers and they're practicing with their dispatchers and their officers for them to communicate clearly and to get and them not to get any bullshit. That's not your job. That's not your role. Your job is one thing: is to communicate clearly to the dispatchers, so in a timely fashion, these first responders can get to the situation and act on the information that you provided, and not have wandering around wondering what the hell's going on. So, if a dispatcher asks for your phone number to call you back, and you're outside and you are away from the danger, give it to them. If they say, "What is your phone number?" "Ma'am, ma'am, I cannot give it to you because it'll give my position away." And that tells her that she should know that you're in the building, but maybe be able to, "Ma'am, I'm in the building. I do not want to give my location away." So, with all that being said, I hope this information you can share this with your children. You can share this with people who you're going to be in contact with. Be aware that when people call, they're going through the salute report, which means that they're actually going through an experience, and they're giving you the best information. They're giving you correct information in a uniformed way, to where misinformation doesn't fuel the rumors. You're not going to be that part of that. You're going to report exactly what you see in a uniform reporting method, to where that can be used by other individuals. Like I said, don't go making shit up. If you don't know, I'm unaware. How many people are there? I have one, possibly two. And they're going to ask you the same questions that you've already given on a salute report. That's okay, because the fact is you're trying to get them on the same page, and you answer their questions exactly like you did on your salute report. Do not waver. Do not waver from your salute report. And the only time you would waver is if the situation is currently changing, and you would state that. This is what I have. That's why you give the time. This is what I have at this time. I will call you back if you haven't called me. If I don't hear sirens, I'm going to call you back, because you're going to give them an update on the situation. Response time for first responders has been a main issue, and police officers and first responders are trying to correct that. But as I've said many times here, the communication that they get, the information that they get, will provide them an ability to react quicker, because they have information that is verified. They know what they're going into, and they have enough information to make a command decision. So I know that many individuals who are involved in this, that it's very difficult to maintain your discipline, and it's going to be very difficult for you to maintain your emotions and everything. But you have to tell yourself to calm the fuck down. I'm sorry, excuse my language. Calm down. God, it's for kids too. Calm down. Communicate clearly. This is going to help not only the first responders, but everybody involved. The best thing you can do for your friends, your partners, whoever are inside of this scenario, that is your job. That's how you can help. Remain calm, disciplined, cool, and get the proper information out. That is the main key, and the main issue that I see when I review all of these mass shootings. The communication is vital. And there's no standard format that everyone can use. It would be nice if the dispatchers or dispatching units or the sheriff's officers, they would distribute exactly what you need to report. You can put it in your pocket or whatever. So now you're on your own, because you don't know exactly how to communicate with these individuals. So you have to make up your own concise, detailed format. And I know I've had to call 911 many times, and they get off on a tangent. They keep it, and I'm like, "Ma'am, You have to go back here where they're asking questions. You go back to that and you repeat it. You may have to repeat it 3 or 4 different times, but stay on the phone as long as you can until you're assured that that information has been properly, that they understand the information properly, and then follow it up. Okay, it is such and such time now. I'm calling you back in 5 minutes if I don't hear sirens. So the communication between your emergency contacts and you guys can go through a process there. You guys can work that out or whatever. However, the fact is that once your child has learned this format, then that's how they're going to, the best way is to present it to you and understand this format, what they're telling you. So you, the parent, can actually make educated decisions on your child and where and how to best support them and get them to safety. So I hope this video has given some light on communication. If people don't follow these actual my actual acronym, I understand, but please understand that, you know what, communication is the key, and it is vital to saving lives, because you have information that people need to be able to maintain the situation and alleviate this year. So if this format doesn't work for you, take some time and just sit down with your kids, sit down with your significant others, and this is what we're going to go with. This is what we need to know for our family, for what this is how it pertains to use some kind, in other words, use some kind of detailed format for you and your family to use, so everybody's on the same page, and instill in your individuals who may or may not be put in danger that it's very, very difficult to remain calm. Your emotions are going to take over, but how do you get better than that? You practice. Go through scenarios. I mean, I've got people I talk to or whatever. And they know when I call them, I'm giving a salute format. You know it. They need to listen. They write shit down. So hopefully people will like and hopefully they'll share this, because the fact is that I believe that this is a very important topic that we don't talk about during mass shootings, but it's something that we need to get out there, and we need to do all we can to eliminate the threat. And once the threat is there, is to eliminate the possibility of other people getting hurt because of lack of knowledge. So communication is key, people. And I found that out. The hard way. So please like, share, comment, or whatever. But if not, that's fine. But be aware that this is a situation maybe you might want to take a look at. You guys be good, be careful, and keep your powder dry.